Hello, everyone. Today we are going to discuss inquiry versus research. We're going to look into the difference between this. So let's start our discussion. The nature of inquiry is synonymous to the word investigation. So when we say investigate, so we tend to ask questions. We ask questions to examine or prove something that we want to have an answer. So when we inquire, we tend to ask these questions so that we are able to answer what's on our mind. And for us to ask questions, we need to use our HOTS. What's HOTS? It's the higher order thinking skills. When we say higher order thinking skills, we use an open-ended questions to answer our inquiries so that we are able to lead into the knowledge that we wanted to have. So an open-ended question is used to elicit views, opinions, and beliefs from others. So from this, we are able to come up with the knowledge or the answer that we wanted to have. On the other hand, research is a systematic process of solving problem or finding an answer to an inquiry. We may also define research as an organized method to finding new ideas from the existing body of knowledge with the help of useful tool for the purpose of improving the quality of life. Dito, makikita natin na ang research ay ginagamit upang mapabuti ang ating pamumuhay. We use this up for a better life. Hindi naman masasayang ang ating pag-aaralan sa paggawa ng research. We use the research in order for us to improve not just by ourselves but also the lives of others. From the definition of the University of San Diego, they defined research as a systematic investigation designed to extend the knowledge of what is already known of the physical, biological, or social world. Ibig sabihin, ang research ay hindi lamang pang science. Ang research ay pwede din para sa iba't ibang larangan na ating alam sa kasalukuyan. Pwede itong sa nakikita natin sa pang-araw-araw nating pamumuhay, sa mga nakakasalamuha natin. Pwede tayong mag-research. From Corinne of 2007 defined research as a truth-seeking activity which contributes to knowledge aimed at describing or explaining the world, conducted and governed by those with a high level of proficiency or expertise. Ibig sabihin, ang research ay ginagamit upang malaman ang katotohanan. Ang research ay kailangan upang malaman kung ano talaga ang nangyayari sa ating paligid. Somebody or anonymously said that a research is a result of a thinking process that results or involves you, the students, in questioning techniques or models. So here, we notice that you, the students, is one of a key ingredient or the key term that we are going to look into when we do some research, especially when it turns or lalong-lalo na sa educational research. One characteristic of research is that it is scientific, experimental, or inductive manner of thinking. When we say scientific, may sinusunod na proseso. Experimental, you need to observe things, on a keen observation, you will come up with a better research. Or an inductive manner of thinking. When we say inductive, it is characterized by the interference of general laws from a particular instance. Meaning that when you do inductive thinking, you tend to observe things first before you generalize. So titignan mo muna kung ano ba talaga ang nangyayari upang malaman mo ang totoong pangyayari. So here, in research, we do questioning from lots to hots, from low order thinking skills to a higher order thinking skills. Ibig sabihin, we use inquiry to our research because we tend to ask questions while we do the research. Sabi nga natin, ang isang karakteristik ng research ay experimental at scientific. Ibig sabihin, meron tayong prosesong susundin. Unang-una, identify the topic or problem. Here, in order for us to do the research, we need to look into what are we going to solve. So we need to look into what is the problem. And then we gather the data. And then we make theories out of the data that we gathered. From there, we tend to formalize or formulate hypotheses, which we tend to, after we analyze the data, we draw the conclusion. So we will able to come up with a best research if we follow certain steps. Another characteristics of a research is data will not come from yourself, but also from other sources like me, your other teachers, other people around you, the books that you read, the artworks, or inside of a museum, and many more depending on the research topic that you are looking into. And another thing, let's take note. As a cardinal rule in research, we need to acknowledge the owner of all sources of knowledge involved in our research. Ito ang pinaka-importante nating gagawin. Bakit? Dahil dito nakasalalay kung paano mas magiging mapaayos ang research na ating gagawin. Para hindi tayo mapabintangan na nangongopya lang ng research. So when we do this research, what we are going to do is acknowledge the source of idea, the source of knowledge, the owner of it, so that they will be given a chance to spread the truth from the research that you had. Let's move to the methods of research. The first method is inductive. When we do an inductive research, we start from a specific idea, then move to a more complex one. The next method is deductive. We start from generalizing, then examine the details about a certain topic. So let's look into this diagram. The inductive one, we tend to, number one, observe first. Hihimay-himayin natin kung ano ang mga nangyayari, kung ano ang mga sagot, bago tayo mag-conclude, bago tayo magbigay ng ating sagot base sa ating naobserbahan. At doon tayo magkakaroon ng isang teorya o theory base sa ating mga naobserbahan. Sa kabilang dako, sa deductive research naman, we start from a theory. We are already grounded of a certain principle, of a certain concept, and we will do some predictions. Like in science, we already have a certain theory, certain law, and when we do experiment, we will come up with a certain prediction or hypothesis. Then we do the experiment. if the experiment results is the same as of the theory or of the predictions that we have, then we can accept it in our conclusion. Then if not, we may go back to our procedure, repeat our experiment, and if it's still not, then we can reject our predictions from it. This is how the inductive research and the deductive research used by our researchers. Let's look into the aims of research. Number one, we verify things or we verify existing knowledge. Why? There is already a published work. So to enable for us to acknowledge this, we are able to verify if it's true or not. Diba nga sabi dun sa isa nating definition, research is a truth-seeking. So in order for us to know the truth, we verify whether this research or this theory is correct or not. Another, acquisition of new knowledge. When we do research, we are able to come up with new knowledge. We are able to come up with new ideas. When we do research, hindi lamang ito doon sa magkakaroon ka ng bago mong idea. Pwede kang gawa ng bago mong invention. Yeah? When you do researching, you are inventing something. You are innovating something. Yeah? From the telephone, we have now the cell phone. So this is a product of a research. From a CRT TV to an LED TV. So we have now the application of the new knowledge that based from the research. And then we have the advancement of the researcher's expertise. Nalilinang ang kakayahan natin na mga researcher na maging isang dalubhasa sa ating mga piniling larangan. Verification of existing knowledge, we go back, we prove the veracity or the truthfulness of existing theories or knowledge. Then the acquisition of new knowledge brings new idea about a theory or even create a new theory. While the application of new knowledge utilizes and translates something to be useful for all humankind, for everyone, para sa atin. Then the advancement of researchers' expertise is to gain relevant experience that enhances and deepens the knowledge and skills in the area of their investigation or of our investigation. So itong apat na ito, pwede tayong mamili kung ano ang magiging takbo or goal ng research na ating gagawin for this semester up to the last semester. So we will need to focus which of the 4 aims of research should be the one that we are going to pursue on coming up with our own research. Because if we know our aim as a researcher, we know the product that we wanted to have. Inquiry vis-a-vis research. What's the meaning of vis-a-vis? Vis-a-vis means in relation to. So inquiry in relation to research is that both of them encourage us to formulate questions to direct us to the exact information that we want to discover. So sa pamamagitan ng inquiry, magkakaroon tayo ng magandang research. Sa pagtatanong, ay magkakaroon tayo ng maayos na mga sagot sa ating hinahanap na solusyon para sa ating problema. So when we do research, we do also inquiry. So it's time to pickle our mind. So what I want you to do is to determine whether a certain situation is an inquiry or a research. You need to, again, determine whether the certain situation is an inquiry or a research. So let's start. Okay, so let's try to know now your questions. Your answers based on a certain situation. So number one, a person wants to know the occupant of one condominium. Is it an inquiry or a research? It is an inquiry. So you just want to know someone from that one condominium who occupies a certain condominium or a certain floor in the condominium. So you don't need to do some research. Next question, next situation. A student wants to know the medicinal effects of guava leaves. Is it an inquiry or a research? The answer is it's a research. Next, situation number 3. Mr. Cruz wants to know the technique to make his electric fan function instantly. What Mr. Cruz will do. Is it an inquiry or a research? It's a research. Next situation. Professor Gomez wants to discover the impact of social networking on his students' learning abilities. Is it inquiry or research? It's research. Next, we have Aling Rosa wants to know the reason behind the decrease of her sales for the day. Is it inquiry or research? It is research. And then number 6, a businessman wants to find out which between these two marketing strategies, free tasting and attractive packaging, could increase the daily sales. And what's your answer? It is a It's a research. Okay, so let's do now another activity. So you get a partner and let's do the think, pair, share or think, pair, report. Here, you need to be calm. You need to become a speculative thinking or a speculative thinker. You need to prove how inquisitive you are by raising investigative questions about this topic. So you need to come up with an inquiry question about 21st century educational strategies, the era of globalization, social networking, climate change, digital age, sustainable community, and carcinogenic food. Please classify your questions into a low level or a high level question. And that's it for our discussion for this topic, inquiry versus research, a review. I hope you have learned something from this and see you on our next discussion. Goodbye.